Welcome to the Macros for Life podcast, where we talk all things macros, business, and marriage. We're your hosts, Eve and Randall Guzman. Visit our website at www.gtransformationacademy.com, where you can download our free How to Track Macros guide. This guide has helped over 15,000 people start their macro tracking journey.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Macros for Life podcast with your hosts, me, Eve, and my husband, Randall. We're really excited for you guys today to meet Elizabeth Wright, but she loves going by Liz.
I have to stop you. I'm Elizabeth Ward.
Oh, shoot, I intertwined you guys.
Yeah.
We're just one person. We're really
It's just
a
like
combo.
that.
Elizabeth Ward, but you guys, please call her Liz. She's a writer and a speaker, menopause expert, and women's health and nutrition specialist, also an RD. So welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
So great to talk to you today. We found your account several months ago, so I've been diving into your content, your podcasts. Super excited to hear some of the things that you have been helping people with in real life practice for the past few decades, and also in really incredible books that you have written. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know one thing that is special to Randall and I about you is that you love coffee.
Oh, I do love coffee. I don't drink it like all day long, but I have to have that one gigantic cup in the morning to make my day. So I didn't know we had that in common.
Yeah, especially him. He's the big cup.
Yeah, I love it. I try to limit myself to two. Let me get 2 mugs a day and then be done. I blame it on her because I like coffee, and then she brought an espresso machine in here, and coffee has never been the same.
Well, there's nothing wrong with coffee. I mean, it's really actually a good source of antioxidant nutrients. So go right ahead.
There you go. Health approved. But yeah, tell us about how you got started, like your undergrad, your career.
Okay, so I was an athlete in high school, and I was always very interested in how food affected performance. And also then I got more interested in how food and nutrition affected health. So I went to the University of Massachusetts, and I majored in human nutrition. And then I did, an internship. And I went to work for a company that did corporate wellness programs. So we'd go out to different companies and be talking about nutrition and health to corporations. And then I started working for myself. I'm skipping over a lot of parts, but I have 3 children, and I decided to work for myself because I've always liked to do public speaking and writing and recipe development. And that's really what I've been doing for the last 20 to 25 years. Alongside, raising 3 kids and writing a few books along the way. One is about pregnancy. It's called Expect the Best, your guide to healthy eating before, during, and after pregnancy. And then I know you found me because of the Menopause diet plan, which I wrote with Hillary, who's my best friend from college. So it's come full circle. We met in organic chemistry lab and tried to not blow anything up while we were in there because we weren't very good at organic chemistry lab, but we've stayed friends. She has 3 children. I have 3 children. We live near each other. We finally found the time to work together. And because we were aging, because we were going through perimenopause, we were asking each other so many questions like, is this happening to you? Is that happening to you? What should we do about it? We couldn't find any good information about nutrition and lifestyle. So we did the research ourselves, and we came up with the Menopause diet plan.
That's amazing. I love it.
Hold up. First of all, you just skipped over all that like it was no big deal. I got a degree, raised 3 kids, done public speaking, and wrote a few books. Like, hey, that's amazing. First of all, like you just skipped all through that. I'm acknowledge that. Now you can ask your question.
Well, and Randall and I were talking about this yesterday because we went through the list of books that you guys have written together, meaning you and Hillary, because she's got one like a pre-diabetes plan and then a PCOS book, which is now kind of becoming hot. But I believe she wrote that maybe almost 10 years ago?
Well, she's on the second edition of both of them.
Okay,
So
cool.
she's got
Yeah.
the PCOS diet plan, the pre-diabetes diet plan, and
Mhm.
she specializes in, insulin resistance, type
Yes.
2 diabetes, which of course permeates both of those
Mhm.
conditions. So she's my queen when it comes to any of that. So I recommend her books when I need to know about PCOS and pre-diabetes, and she recommends my pregnancy book all the time. And now we have a menopause book together. So I'd say we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you guys definitely have the credentials to support it, because you know how it is. A lot of people are like, do this, do that this way, but they don't necessarily have the research, the education, the experience, because there's just so much stuff out there, and people get really inundated with all of the information, and they're like, who's an authority in this space for me to actually be able to trust? And you guys partnered together to essentially fill a gap and create the menopause diet plan.
Well, I'm happy to say that, we are registered dietitians. We both have master's degrees, but we have a lot of experience too. And I think that really permeated the book a lot, because we did a lot of research. I mean, everything that we say is substantiated with research. It's got references in the back. And we because we're dietitians, we get very nervous about saying something that doesn't have at least 3 ways to back it up. So we're very, very careful. But I would have to say the experience, our decades of experience working with women, being women, having gone through menopause, really has seeped into the book. So it's not like, well, you must do this, 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 and this. It's like, well, we know there's more than one way to skin a cat. You can definitely, that's kind of a gross saying, but you know what I mean? Like, you can do it all different ways. You don't have to go to extremes. You don't have to listen to extreme information to get what you want. And I think also there's a level of acceptance in there that we are getting older and that bodies change. And I know you're pining for your 25-year-old body. I certainly am. But that's never going to happen again. So let's move on. And what can we do to be the healthiest and the most energetic from here on out?
Yeah. Well, I feel like we're going to really come back to this topic hard, because immediately I thought about the skinny jeans everybody wants to get into that were like 2 babies ago. Or, I mean, I don't think Randall calls them do you ever call them the skinny jeans, your smaller ones? But he has some things that I'm like, let that dream go. Fitted jeans, whatever. Fitted jeans. But it's so clear and evident that you guys are not just people with credentials and you're a registered dietitian, which some people go like, oh my gosh, I have to be so perfect to work with somebody like that. But the experience that you guys have shows in all that you do in your podcast, your public speaking, even your book, because you guys can relate to people, because you guys are funny, you have a good time. Like, when you guys are together, the energy that you have is amazing. And that's why one of our assistant coaches was like, okay, we have to have them in some way, some capacity. So I reached out, I was like, podcast, can you come into macro mentorship? Because we like people that are fun, that are down to earth. They don't have to be stuffy. I feel like we're losing power. That was a flash. I don't know what happened over here. The lights just flashed. But we like people that really just keep it real. They cut through the bullshit and understand people. All right, guys, that flash was actually us losing power. So we've started back up and we are here. But the last thing I was mentioning was just like how real Liz and Hillary keep it when it comes to the education that they're putting out there, because they've really worked with real life people and they know what real people are like. All of the difficulties that we have starting a program, sticking with one, learning things, changing, going from maybe eating complete junk food and learning how to like cook. And like, you've probably had people ask you, so how should I prepare my chicken? I mean, it's a huge lifestyle change, but you guys have worked with so many people that you know what real people are like, and you know that there's multiple ways to do stuff, and you give people options.
Yeah, we do give people a lot of options. I mean, our mentality is, meet people where they are.
Mhm.
So even though, and then there's the idea of like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I should be doing the other thing. No, you need to do what you can do given your time, your budget, your family situation, the fact that you might be taking care of older parents and children at the same time. It's crazy how much people have to do
Yeah.
in a day. So the idea that, that you should be perfect, you should eat perfectly, is something that we just, we don't even entertain that. We just help people do, what they need to do at this given time. And change is really hard. Really.
Mhm. I think one of your mottos is better is the new perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually the name of my website. Better is the new perfect. And even sometimes I think even better is like asking too much of people. I mean, it all depends on what's going on. Like, you do you, and I'll help you do it in the healthiest way. We can figure out.
Yeah. Do you feel like you guys have a lot of people come to you and they think they need to do everything on day one, week one?
Yeah, I
They've
mean,
got like a list of 12 things.
that's a diet mentality though, isn't it? So
Mhm.
dieting is really a perfectionistic way of looking at things. Like, I will eat X amount of calories at this time during the day, and I will exercise for a certain amount, and then everything's going to be fine. It's like, well, no, because the body doesn't work that way. Everyone's different. And going from one extreme, like you were just mentioning, maybe eating a lot of, ultra processed foods, not enough fruits and vegetables and things like that, to the other end of the spectrum, too fast, is always a recipe for disaster.
Mhm.
Always. And then how does that leave you feeling? I mean, it leaves you feeling like you're never going to change. And that is not the truth. You can do the smallest things to move the needle, so that you feel better. And I think focusing on feeling better and having more energy and sleeping better is really the goal. If
Mhm.
you are always focused on the scale and you're always focused on weight loss, then you are going to be disappointed, because it doesn't happen in a linear fashion.
Yeah. I feel like you just summed up my last 3 posts. All of them. One of them was like the best way to transform your body is walking. And forget always focusing on the scale, but think about lowering your blood glucose, lowering your blood pressure, moving more, having more mobility and function, being able to sleep better and just feel good. If you focused on those things, you're going to lose the weight as a side effect. But we're just so weight driven, diet driven, that we don't even try to think about the things that we should be grateful for that are non-scale victories that typically will lead to weight loss if you can get that foundational stuff down. But we want to do the hard stuff. We're such a dieting society, and we used to do it. Randall and I have lost over 250 pounds together, and we did all the yo-yo dieting. I did all the Slim Fast, Weight Watchers meals, I did ultra processed foods within a 1,200 calorie plan. Like, I could eat McDonald's and Taco Bell, 1,200 calories, but I'm on my diet.
Very creative, very creative.
And then I would quit. And I was spinning my wheels. And I cannot believe how much progress I would have made just doing the basic stuff. I would have shed pounds years ago.
But the basic stuff is not sexy. You know what I mean? And by sexy, I mean attractive and alluring, and it's going to get you something that makes you feel good fast. So all the fad diets in the world, yeah, they're all going to work. Every single diet is going to work for a short period of time. And then once you go back to your eating habits, they will not work. And on the other, and by work, I mean keep the weight off, because you haven't changed anything from the neck up. You have not changed your attitude, and it's all in your head. And giving yourself time and being patient and saying, you know what, I want this to work for the rest of my life. If you can't do something for the rest of your life, why do it at all?
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Man,
if you're going to you're going to say to yourself, I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week. Really? Is that something you can do for the rest of your life? Why are you setting yourself up for that? If you can only do four or three, or if you can only walk a certain amount, do what you can do where you're at right now.
absolutely, absolutely. One of the things that I like to say is replace your bad habits with better habits, and eventually you'll have some good habits.
I love it.
And when I talk to people and they tell me like they want to change their nutrition, they want to change the way they eat. One of my first questions is, how many times a week do you eat fast food? And if they tell me they eat fast food 5 times a week, I'm like, cut it in half for me. Cut it down to 3 or cut it down to 2 times this week, and then see where you lead to next week. And then, because if you change those things, those small habits, a little bit at a time, eventually you're going to say, okay, I don't need that fast food. And I'll start cooking my food at home. Then you can get into more healthier habits. But first, you got to cut out those bad habits for just better habits and then build on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and like you're saying, they might find out that they feel better, and that feeling better is the motivation that drives them to do it again.
Absolutely.
People always talk about, well, I'm not very motivated. It's like, well, yeah, you know what? Just about every day I'm not motivated either.
Right.
I mean, I would love to eat a huge chocolate bar every night. I would love to not go to the gym, 5 or 6 times a week. Yeah, I'd love to kick back. But I always say to myself, am I gonna feel worse by not doing this? Like, let me just put one foot in front of the other. Let me just put my sneakers on and let me see, like, if I'm gonna go for a run or something, let me just see how it goes. If I only want to do half the run, fine. I always end up doing the whole thing. So you even I, as a dietitian and somebody that's been helping people for decades, have to trick myself. It's something that we've got to do, every day and be conscious of. We don't have to be perfect, but we need to be conscious of it, conscious of what we might need to do every day in order to be in better health.
That was one of our podcasts a couple weeks ago. Like, motivation is doing what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Not that you want to do it. Or like on Monday, I had a migraine and he's like, I'm going to the gym. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, well, maybe I should get some vitamin D. Maybe I should try to just walk. I was going to do it 10 minutes. It turned into a 45-minute walk. Like you said, I just did it because I was like, I should do this for me. And then Randall and I were joking the other day. I think we were on a walk. Today's Thursday. This is probably Tuesday. Out of nowhere, I don't know what he was thinking, but he was like, yeah, food is always just going to be a battle for me for the rest of my life. He's like, kind of like, the way my metabolism is set up, I just can't eat what I want, or genetics, the way my genetics are set up.
Right.
I was like, me too. I will gain 100 pounds back if I go back to the old things. So my motivation is the fact that I feel good, not that I'm trying to look sexy. That would be great, but like, I'm doing it because I should. And we know this is the rest of our life, and we're good with that because I don't want to feel like I used to feel before.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you remember that and you keep telling yourself that. And that's great. And I gained, I've always battled with my weight too. But I gained about 10 pounds during, perimenopause. So maybe over the course of 5 or 6 years, it crept on. I'm like, well, what gives? Well, I like to eat sweets after dinner.
That's me.
Maybe it was that. But I like Randall, I will always be doing battle with that. I have never been able to figure out a way to completely eliminate that unless I'm sick or something. That's the only time I don't want to eat after dinner. So I've said to myself, okay, this is something that's with me. I'm going to have to deal with this. So I allow myself like an ounce or an ounce and a half of chocolate. I love chocolate. And I can't say it always does the trick, but what I do is I eat it and I go right straight upstairs and I brush my teeth. And I think I'm not brushing my teeth again because I hate to brush my teeth. So everyone has their own little tricks. Everyone has their own little battles. But I've decided, like, I'm not going to win this one. I am not going to win this one. And I think that's okay. I think that perfection is really overrated.
Absolutely. You sound like my wife with that eating chocolate then brushing your teeth.
Every day. That's part of my like philosophy. Like I am a macro coach and a hormone coach, and I help a lot of women focus on looking better, feeling better, fat loss if they want to do it. But also, like if there's something you love, tacos, nachos, in my case, it is chocolate. I'm going to have a little bit every day. And I think it's really refreshing for people to be listening today and go, okay, Liz has admitted like this is going to be with me. Randall's admitted this is going, and Eve has like, I'm okay with that. Yeah. I think people think because we have been helping people for so long and have incredible backgrounds and stories, and we've helped how many thousands of people between us that we don't have battles. No, we just kind of suck it up and keep going.
Exactly. We all have battles, and we have to decide which ones we're really going to live with and which ones we really need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then everybody, like you said, everybody has a battle, and this may be yours, but that doesn't mean it is the worst. It's far worse battles out there. So I'm grateful that I found out how to actually control it and to work it, and further than that, like people ask me all the time, like, oh, well, now you lost this weight or you did this or did that. So why are you still eating like that? Really? Like, that's not attractive to me to eat like that anymore. That doesn't look good to me. Yeah. Like, now maybe I want to eat a steak instead of chicken breast some nights, and I can't because it doesn't fit in my macros, but I can wait till Saturday so I can have my, my high carb day or whatever and fit certain things in. That's fine. I can live in moderation, because I'd rather be predicting what I eat and when I eat something than having a doctor tell me what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat it, and making me take this med to do it.
Right. So, and what drug you need to be on, right? Because, exactly. That's, I think, as I get older, like my cholesterol has gone up. Mm-hmm. And again, not, I think from eating any particular food.
Right.
But it happens after menopause. When you lose estrogen, your risk for heart disease goes up. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons is because your LDL cholesterol, right? Your bad cholesterol goes up, and that's the stuff that clogs your arteries. And my doctor's like, well, what about considering going on a statin? And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't think it's that high. And secondly, I'm going to do the hard work, and I'm going to do it with diet. I'm going to see if I can do this with diet. And I don't know if I've done it yet, but I've tried. So I think anything, I think you should try. I think you need to try and keep yourself as well as possible. And that involves, good foods and nutritious foods for as long as possible, because medication, I'm not saying it can be avoided. I mean, it can't. As you get older, there are some things you're going to have to take medication for, and that's okay. But the fewer meds you take, the better off you're going to be.
Mm-hmm. 100% agree. When I was tipping the scales at like 400 pounds, my doctor was like, okay, we're going to get ready to do bariatric surgery. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hold on. I was like, I've been doing nothing to make effort to get healthy or to lose weight or anything like that. Like, I've been eating whole pizzas and drinking beer. Like, I'm like you said, it's nothing wrong with having those surgeries if you need them. Right. But I need to try first. And that's what I told him. I was like, let me try. I was like, you need to give me 6 months to try my own way of getting this weight off before we have the surgery, because I don't want to have surgery if I don't need to have surgery. Right. Maybe I just need to get my shit together. So, and it worked out.
That's what my husband's doing right now. He's getting his shit together. Don't tell him I said that, but the doctor said, well, you need to lose some weight and your blood pressure is high, and I don't like this and I don't like that. And so he's on that path, and he does not want to go on medication. So there you go. That can be a motivator for some people.
Absolutely. And good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can all stand to get our shit together.
Oh yeah.
And just like your motto, like, we're not perfect. We're constantly trying to get better. But I think that's why a lot of people like They've been following our story for years. They come and work with us. They come to events that we're at. They listen to our podcast because like we're just real. We're all just trying to get better and like age gracefully and like feel the best that we can.
Well, I think
But
we're all a work in progress. I mean,
Mhm.
all of us are. And then age, plays a huge factor in that too. And, you have to like roll with the punches and learn what you need to do for whatever next phase of life you're going into.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
why you mention your husband? Let's stop here for a little bit and jump into some men things just for a quick second for fellas out there. I know for me, like I'm 40 years old. I just turned 40 in August. And like as soon as I started approaching 40 and turned 40, I just started noticing differences with the way that my body feels, the way my body reacts to workouts. I mean, I played football for a long time. I played football till I was 28 years old. So like my joints, like they started like hurting like randomly and things like that. Like, and I know guys are out there dealing with these type of things too. Nothing even close to the level that women are dealing with. But for guys, do you have any tips on how to deal with those ailments once we get over 40 and we want to have the active lifestyle and work out and do things like that?
Yeah, I think it's the same advice I would give to women. It's probably due to changing hormone levels, the sex hormones, testosterone for men, estrogen for women. And there are receptors in, these tissues all throughout your body. So when the levels drop, and I know in women, when the levels of estrogen drop, you can have a lot of joint stiffness and joint pain and muscle pain as well. So the solution is not maybe a total solution, but from a dietary standpoint, it's to have lots of anti-inflammatory foods in your diet. So if you're not eating seafood twice a week, you definitely should be, because it has omega-3 fats, which may help to reduce joint pain. Lots of fruits and vegetables. And by that, I mean at least 5 servings. Now, guys that eat more calories, more than 2,000 calories a day, should eat even more fruits and vegetables, but also things like legumes, nuts, seeds. Those things are anti-inflammatory. So the reason why you're getting the pain is because you have some level of inflammation there. So you want to do whatever you can to calm that down.
Cool. Great points. I definitely need to, like, I've stepped up my veggie game and my fruit game here recently a lot. I'm one of those bigger guys that eat more food. So I'm usually aiming to get at least 5 ounces of veggies in with each meal myself. But I definitely need to step it up on the nuts. That's one of the things that I actually cut out when I lost weight was nuts. And I used to eat nuts a lot, but I was looking at the fat content. And I was like, oh, that's bad, this, that, and the other. But that's before I found out the good fats are actually good for you. You should just need to eat them in moderation. But it's one of those things that I haven't added back into my daily diet yet. So it is definitely one I need to add back in.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of a plant-based diet, but people always get confused when I say that, because they're like, well, doesn't that mean it's vegan? Or it's like, no, absolutely not. It's a plant-forward diet. It's one that really is rich in plants, but also contains, adequate amounts of protein, absolutely, to keep your muscle, as you age. And that's very important. Now, everyone, probably over the age of 50, probably needs much more protein than, including men and women, than the current, recommended dietary allowance. So that's a big issue in the nutrition world, is when are we going to get new recommendations for, older people as we age? You want to, have all the raw materials on board to build what you need to build to keep those joints strong and supported. You want to keep them supported. And the way you do that is through muscle.
Absolutely. I 100% agree.
Metabolic tissue, we need it. Like that's outside of like general health, my biggest thing, me going through perimenopause early is like keep and build as much muscle as I can all the way through. So I'm not going to be complaining about that, slow, like 0.5% decline of my metabolism, and my muscle loss and my bone loss and the estrogen loss. I got to keep this muscle. I have to.
Yeah.
And it gets harder when you get older to build it. So like,
I
you got to
know.
do what you got to do.
I know. And it's a message that really needs to be repeated over and over again, especially for women in their 40s. If you haven't started strength training and exercising on a regular basis, start now, because it's going to help your bones, your heart, your brain, your muscles. Like you were saying, muscle is a metabolic tissue. It's its own organ. It keeps your insulin levels where they're supposed to be. It balances your blood glucose levels, which has ramifications for so many other aspects of your health.
Yeah.
And muscle loss as we get older, goes gradually. It's really not just about being a frail old lady who can't do things for herself. It's about your entire body. It's about everything. So make it and keep it.
Yeah. I think what I really love about the things that you guys teach with like the menopause diet plan book is it's not like just about like mastering menopause, which is like the thing people say, but like getting your body prepared more. Because really it's like the 40 plus, it's the perimenopause time where the battle is. And Randall knows this because he's seen me go through it. It's like the marathon up into like menopause is like finishing the race. It's not the menopause part, you guys. It's like the run up. And I'm living it, so I know.
That's it. Exactly. You nailed it, because it is the run up to menopause. That's the worst, because menopause is really just one day. Menopause is 12 months of no periods. After that, it's postmenopause. And what has happened during perimenopause, the years leading up, may predict the next 30 to 40% of your life, which is how much time you can spend living after menopause occurs. So get it together now. If you can, do what you can now, because then you don't have to like make up for what you didn't do. And what's harder to do after you've lost that estrogen, which, so once you lose the estrogen, your risk for heart disease, brain disease, like dementia and things like that, and bone disease goes up. So, that's the dark side of it. That's the bleak side of it, but you can manage that.
Yeah, definitely. I think what happens is a lot of people are just trying to tackle everything once it happens versus the preparation. And for me growing up, like my mom is in her 70s. We didn't have conversations. Randall's mom is younger, 60s. She didn't tell me what her menopause and perimenopause was like. I'm just finding out on my own and the internet, which is crazy. There's a women's conference. Yeah, there's one I'm speaking at this year. It's about like gracefully going into your 40s and being courageous. And I'm going to be speaking on nutrition and metabolism and hormones. And I'm really thrilled to be at events like this because like we can talk about it before it happens versus Mom, why didn't you tell me about this? And I've suffered for 8 years. No one's talking about it.
I've always said, like, we need to have the talk with women. and when I say the talk, I'm talking about the perimenopause talk. I mean, everyone has, not everyone, but most moms gave their kids, their girls, the puberty talk, or their boys, the puberty talk. And even men need to learn about menopause. So we all need to have the talk. Well, my doctor never talked about it. I think that my gynecologist, I think she thought like I just knew. I mean, she didn't even know I'd written a menopause book. She's like, well, you're a dietitian, you're a healthcare professional. You just know. It's like, no, I had to write a book to find out, I had to read like stacks and stacks and stacks of, research papers to find out like what's going on here? What am I supposed to do with my body now?
That was me too, like researching it to put it in our certification years ago. And then I taught it for 3 to 4 years. And then one day I started having hot sweats, hot flashes and night sweats. And I was like, is this what I've been teaching? And I'm like, this is happening to me. I would text
Right.
Randall and go, I am in the office working on my laptop in my underwear and bra. I don't know what is wrong with me. And that was my late 30s because I went into it early.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, this is what I've been teaching. Oh my
Uh-huh.
God, it's happening to me.
Uh-huh. And it's funny because same thing with us. Like we actually wrote it kind of while it was happening to us and afterwards. And it's like, wow, it's really different when you see something on paper and then when you actually go through it, it's totally different. So
completely different.
yeah.
I 100% agree that men need to be educated on it too, because I mean, when this stuff first started happening, before the doctor talked to me and everything, like I mean, I thought my wife was dying. Like I'm like, what is going on? Like,
Right.
I mean, it was something bad happening like every other day, and I mean, she was in so much pain, and then the doctor finally sat us down or whatever, and she just told me like, you might be going through this for the next 8 to 10 years, so
Uh-huh.
buckle up. And I'm like, what? And she was like,
Uh-huh.
it's normal. Like, she's fine. She's healthy. This, that, and other is just a normal part of life. We've checked her, this, that, and other. And I'm like, I was panicking. I was
Yes.
panicking because I didn't know. And we were, it started happening when she was like 39. So I was like, what's going on here?
I can see why you would be afraid because it's not even on your radar. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like all these things are happening to her and she's not feeling well. And it's like, well, is it cancer? Is it this? Is
What
it
I
that?
thought.
And your mind completely races. And I think this happens to women too when they get confronted with these symptoms. Like, what is wrong with me? Am I going crazy? I can't sleep. My mood swings are really bad. I'm craving this. I want to eat this. I want to do that. And they can't, because no one's given them any framework, for what might happen.
Yeah. I mean, exactly what you said was how it felt. And I was like, he's like, how do you feel? I go, I don't know, just hormonal. I feel like I'm in a bad mood. I'm warning you to stay away from me today. I don't know. I don't know. And every morning, or do you feel better? Do you feel better?
Yeah.
And then like PMS symptoms are worse now leading up. And then once, my period starts, like a lot of it goes away. But it was like, what is going on? And I was like, this is like nuts. And then pairing that with the fact that I am estrogen dominant, which is a whole nother thing in itself. Like my body was like literally a roller coaster and he didn't know what to expect. So it's almost kind of like, I think of that, the first pregnancy book I read, What to Expect When You're Expecting, is, it's like what to expect when you're going through perimenopause. Like you have no clue till you're in it.
Till you're in the thick of it. The thing about like puberty is, you get your period. Okay. All of a sudden you're in your childbearing years. The thing about perimenopause is it sneaks up on you. It's very insidious. And it's like tapping you on the shoulder, like, I'm here, but I'm not really here, but I might come back. And it's like, what is going on?
Yeah. Cause sometimes
random. It's so random.
I'll tell him it's been 3 months. I've been great. I just told him that. And then last month I was like, it's back. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like back to like cranking down on like things that I do to help with the symptoms.
Yeah.
And sometimes like you honestly just don't know. And what I have been finding out, and probably you too as well, and I've spoken with my physician, both of my physicians. One of the things for me that happened last year is I got COVID on my 40th birthday, which is a whole thing because my birthday is in 2 weeks. So we're going to like relive me having my true 40th on my 41st. And I got COVID. And then I actually ended up having plastic surgery because I had excess skin from all of this weight loss from years ago. I had some of it removed off of my legs and I had a tummy tuck back in the day. But it kind of sprawled me back into perimenopause. And my plastic surgeon and my OBGYN said, we have been seeing women go into perimenopause earlier and earlier over the last decade. They have seen women that have went into perimenopause right after getting COVID. Like there were no symptoms. But yeah, all of my physicians are like, yeah, I know you're asking your mom what age she went through it, but because our environment is changing, our ultra processed foods, just the makeup of our fruits and vegetables, having things that are genetically modified, perimenopause is now happening earlier for women. So some of us are really getting caught off guard.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is not a good story about your 40th birthday. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I was
Man,
like, I cannot have COVID. I have COVID on I wait 2.5 years into the pandemic to catch it. One of the healthiest. He was like, how did you catch it?
the
You're like
the
a
worst part,
nutritionist who stays at home.
the
It's
worst,
a mystery. It is a
yeah.
mystery.
Worst part is she was the only one in the house that caught it. So we isolated her and everything like we were supposed to do, but it was hell to pay the captain because it's her birthday and she's the only one in the house with COVID. Like, yeah, it wasn't, it was a little rough. It was a little rough.
I could see how that would be rough.
But have you been hearing about women going into perimenopause like earlier than what used to historically be? Have you been hearing or seeing that, or still digging into that research?
Well, I haven't seen any new figures about that, but I can tell you what came out of the Framingham Heart Study a few years ago. And they found that women who are in poorer health in their, late 30s, and I'm not saying this is you, because it's definitely not you, but late 30s, early 40s, meaning that they smoke, their cholesterol's higher, their weight's higher than it should be, their blood pressure's higher, they tend to start perimenopause earlier.
Yeah.
And they have a worse time of it. Which is, again, back to that basic message that we're saying, get your ducks in a row now,
Yeah.
try to do what you can. The thing about smoking in women is on average, smokers go into menopause at least 2 years earlier. So there's a lot of different factors at play here, but I'm not surprised because in general, the health of the population is not what it used to be, 20, 30, 40 years ago. We're not as healthy as we used to be. And I hate to say it, but weight tends to drive all the different risk factors that I just mentioned there, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, whatever. And so if we have a population that's in their 40s and kind of moving towards perimenopause, and they're not really where they should be in terms of their health parameters, I'm not surprised that, the age may be trending downward.
Yeah. Yeah. You pretty much hit on all of the markers that are like markers of like metabolic syndrome, which, like you said, it carries over into everything: heart disease, risk for cancer, so many things. So you guys, Liz is saying we need to get it together. Before we end,
don't we all?
yeah.
For sure.
Before we end today, if you were to suggest, 3, 4, 5 areas that women should be focusing on to help better prepare themselves for the menopausal year, what would you say you would have women focus on?
I'm going to say, probably this may surprise you, but strength training. If you're not doing it already, do it at least 2 times a week, work in the full major, muscle groups, along with, the recommended 150 minutes a week of either, walking or something else that is aerobic. Now, if you're beyond that point, challenge yourself a little bit, right? Because it never hurts to challenge yourself to make more muscle, to have better aerobic capacity. So exercise is really at the top of my list for skeletal muscle preservation, which, we just talked at length about why that's so important. From a nutrition standpoint, don't focus in on the details as much as the big picture. So try to get 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, 25 to 30 grams of protein at every single meal, healthy fats at every single meal, eat most of your calories earlier in the day. I feel like that just very simple advice. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but it's simple advice will help with your appetite. You won't want to snack as often. You won't want to pick on things as often. You don't want to eat as often in front of the TV because you're doing, you're eating out of, because you're hungry, but also because you're stressed, and you're frustrated or you're sad. And the third thing that I would say, we didn't really talk about it, but I'm happy to come back and talk about it sometime, is check your alcohol intake. I have been finding through a lot of research studies and new statistics, and also from personal observation of people, that many women tend to drink too much. So what is too much? Well, if you're looking at it from a breast cancer standpoint, any alcohol is too much from the breast cancer experts.
Absolutely.
If you're looking at it from maybe just a general health, any more than one standard drink a day is too much alcohol for women. And I know that a lot of women may have a glass of wine at dinner, but it's not really a glass. And then they top off that glass and it ends up being really 2 or 2.5 standard drinks every day. This has implications for health for the rest of your life. So take a look at that, see where you can cut back, and just really just do the best you can, and don't do anything extreme.
Yeah, that's great advice. We definitely want to have you back on an alcohol podcast.
Yeah.
We talk about alcohol a lot. Like, we would love it.
So Hillary is an oncology dietitian as well. She works at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. And so she would be excellent for this.
Okay.
Yeah, really good.
Cool. That would be awesome. Yeah, we talk about this a lot when women are like, but can't I just fit the alcohol in my macros? I'm like, it's not about it fitting in calories. It's about what it's actually doing as a toxin in your body, what it's doing to your liver, your brain, your metabolism, how your body is processing the alcohol and the cells in your body, especially when your body is processing carbs and is becoming more insulin resistant when you're approaching the menopausal age. It's not just about calories, you guys. So you heard it here today.
People don't want to accept the fact that it's poison. And I was one of those people before. But once you think about it as being poison, you're definitely less likely to put it in your body very often.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective. Yeah.
Well, where can everybody find you, even if they are wanting to look at more than just your book and may want to work with you?
So they can find us on Instagram. I'd say that's where we are predominantly, spend most of our time, at Menopause Diet Plan. We're called Menopause Diet Plan across all the platforms that we're on. So we make it easy. We're on Facebook as Menopause Diet Plan. We're also on Twitter as Menopause Diet Plan. So pick whichever one you like and we're there.
Cool. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Liz, for sharing with us and teaching us today. Can't wait to have you back in the future. Also see you inside the Macro Mentorship Program. But it's been a pleasure. And thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I second that, Liz. We appreciate you spending time with us today. And also to our audience, we always appreciate you guys listening to our show. Make sure you download, share, and subscribe. And we'll see y'all next week. Love y'all. Thanks for listening to our podcast today. Make sure you like, share, and tag us on Instagram. Also, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future episodes. In the meantime, be healthy and get wealthy.